As you model piping, you will likely need to add pipe accessories, such as valves, strainers, gauges, and so on. You can model these components in Revit. First, start the Pipe tool and sketch a pipe segment. Then click Modify to end the command. Next, on the Systems ribbon, in the Plumbing and Piping panel, click Pipe Accessory. In a project started from a default project template, there are not any pipe accessories loaded, as can be seen by the dialog. But Revit is asking if you would like to load one now. Click Yes. Revit opens the Load Family dialog. Open the Pipe folder. Any families in the Accessories and Valves folder can be loaded into the project as pipe accessories. Open the Valves folder. As you can see, there are several different classes of valves that are available in the Revit Family library. Open the Balancing Valves folder. You can use Ctrl or Shift to select multiple families. Select all of the balancing valves and then click Open. Once the families load into the project, the Pipe Accessory tool activates. The ribbon changes to the Modify Place Pipe Accessory contextual ribbon. In the Type selector, you can see all of the pipe accessories that have been loaded into the current project. Select a valve size that matches the size of the pipe you previously placed. In the Options bar, the only option is to rotate after placement. You will typically not use rotate after placement with pipe accessories because they are hosted in a pipe. Therefore, their orientation is controlled by the pipe. Move the cursor into the drawing area and you can see the valve attached to the cursor. You can press spacebar to cycle through the placement base points, such as the connectors. To place the pipe accessory, simply click. When you do, the pipe accessory is placed at the level and offset as specified in the Properties palette. But a valve by itself is not useful. Click Undo in the Quick Access toolbar. When you move the cursor over the pipe, it highlights. Now when you click to place the pipe accessory, it is placed in the pipe. Place another valve and then click Modify to end the command. The valves have been placed in the pipe and the pipe is automatically connected to the valves. Select one of the valves. Looking in the Properties palette, you can see that the offset matches that of the pipe. Additionally, the pipe accessory was added to the same pipe system. The fact that the accessory took on the parameters of the pipe, such as the offset and system, is very helpful. Also in the Properties palette, under Mechanical, you can specify a loss method. By default, the pipe accessory is set to Use Definition on Type. However, you can click in this field and expand the dropdown. The other available options are K coefficient from table, not defined, specific coefficient, and specific loss. The K coefficient is also known as the K factor. Choose K coefficient from table, which pulls the loss coefficient from a pipe fitting database. To see the specific table, click Edit next to Loss Method Settings. This opens the Settings dialog. This dialog changes based on the selected loss method. Since K coefficient from table is selected, you can see the K coefficient table and expand the dropdown to choose a different table if needed. Click OK to close this dialog. If you choose specific coefficient or specific loss for the loss method, then you can specify the value by clicking Edit next to Loss Method Settings. Once again, this opens the Settings dialog, and you can specify either the specific coefficient or specific loss, depending on the loss method specified. Change the loss method back to Use Definition on Type. Click in blank space to deselect the valve. Pipe accessories are typically indicated by their symbol that appears in the pipe. For example, most firms have a standard legend with symbols for various valves, such as ball valves, gate valves, globe valves, and so on. As you can see, this pipe accessory is not the actual valve geometry, but a symbolic representation. However, when you change the detail level in the View control bar to Fine, you can see the actual valve geometry. Change the detail level back to Medium. To see how this is accomplished, select the valve and then click Edit Family in the contextual ribbon. When the family opens in the Family Editor, switch to the Reference Level Floor Plan view. Here, you can see the actual valve geometry, as well as the symbolic representation. Select one of the thick lines that make up the valve symbol. Looking in the contextual ribbon, you can see that this element is a line, and the subcategory is set to Pipe Accessories. You can use the Model Line or Symbolic Line tool to create these lines. Also, when you click Visibility Settings in the contextual ribbon, you can see that the lines are set to only appear at coarse and medium detail levels. Click OK to close the dialog, and then select part of the actual valve geometry. Now when you click Visibility Settings, you can see that the actual geometry is set to only appear at the fine detail level. Click OK to close the dialog. Be aware that you can use lines to represent pipe accessories in plan views and still have the actual geometry be used for interference checks and other detail views. However, realize that these lines are constrained to the geometry and update with the various valve types. It is not best practice to just use symbolic lines to create a family or use detail lines in a project. Always start with the actual geometry first. Expand the application menu and click Close to close the family. Do not save any changes you may have made. If you wish to tag your pipe accessories, you can do that as well. There is not a standard pipe accessory tag in Revit, so you can modify another tag to become a pipe accessory tag. Another option is to use an element keynote. For example, select one of the balancing valves and then click Edit Type in the Properties palette. In the Type Properties dialog, under Identity Data, there is a keynote parameter. When you click in this field, a More button appears. You could click this if you wanted to reference a keynote that you had defined in an external text file. But for the balancing valve, simply type BV to indicate balancing valve and then click OK. Next, on the Annotate ribbon, in the Tag panel, expand the Keynote Split button and click Element Keynote. Revit displays a dialog stating that a keynote tag family is not loaded and asks if you want to load one now. Click Yes. In the Load Family dialog, open Annotations and then select Keynote Tag. With the family selected, click Open to load the family into the project. In the Type selector, select the Keynote Number type. Then clear Leader in the Options bar. Next, zoom in and select the valve. When you do, a BV tag is placed right on top of the valve. However, there is a Move control on the tag and you can move it to the appropriate location. Do the same for the other balancing valve. As you can see, this is a quick method to tag pipe accessories.